There are 15 such questions and each of those carries 1 mark each. All the questions are compulsory, wherein you may be asked a derivation to prove something, you may be asked to explain a concept with a sketch or a neatly labeled diagram, so on and so forth. For writing down the tabular column, the empty tabular column with observations, you are given 2 marks. Hello students, welcome to this introduction class or the concept class for your first PUC Physics. I am Madhuar, your professor for Physics, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Since you guys have just completed your 10th standard or SSLC and have chosen for your science stream, let us first try to understand what is science. Science is a systematic and evidence-based way of understanding the entire universe. Okay? There are no mere assumptions. You will always have an evidence for whatever theories that we present. Now that you have chosen science and physics, chemistry and mathematics are the basic subjects, let us dive into understanding what physics essentially means. Physics is a natural science, branch of science that studies matter, time, space and energy. 4 key terminologies: matter, energy, space and time. It seeks to understand the universe. Once again, physics will seek to understand the universe across the scales. Now, what do you understand by scales? It is from a smallest subatomic particle to the largest of the galaxies. Okay? So, you can imagine now that we are starting from a subatomic particle, not even the atom. Whatever is inside the atom, it may be a proton, a neutron or an electron, from that subatomic particle to the largest of the galaxies. So, physics will try to understand these scales. Okay? Our syllabus is basically prescribed by the Karnataka Pre-University Board and the textbook is printed by NCERT. NCERT stands for National Council for Educational Research and Training. NCERT has divided the physics syllabus into 2 parts. So you will have 2 textbooks essentially. Each textbook will consist of 7 chapters each. Let us have a look at the syllabus part now. Now what I am trying to explain here is the topics or the chapters that we are going to study, the number of marks that is allocated for each of these chapters in the question paper, and the number of hours that has been allocated by the pre-university board to complete the syllabus of each of these chapters. Let us look at them one by one. The first one is units and measurement. Here we are going to understand what is a unit, what is measurement, what are derived units and measurements, what are significant figures, what is dimensional analysis, so on and so forth. 3 hours has been prescribed to complete the syllabus and you may get the questions for 3 marks from this specific chapter. Moving on, the second chapter is motion in a straight line. This is for 7 marks and the time allocated here is 7 hours. We are going to study about instantaneous speed, instantaneous velocity. We are going to study about acceleration, so on and so forth in this chapter. Moving on to the third chapter, this is motion in a plane. Motion in a plane basically tries to give us subtopics like scalars, vectors, addition and subtraction of a vector, multiplication of a vector, projectile motion, a very, very important concept, projectile motion, uniform circular motion, so on and so forth. The time allocated to complete this part of the chapter is 13 hours. And the marks that you may get here is for 11 marks in your theory paper. Moving on, the fourth chapter speaks about laws of motion. This is not a new concept to you. You might have studied about laws of motion in your high school. Now, what do we study here exactly? Aristotle's fallacy, moment of inertia. We will study about the 3 important laws of motion by Newton. The number of hours allocated is 13 and you may get questions for 10 marks here. Moving on, the fifth module speaks about work, energy and power. What is work? Work is essentially transfer of energy, whereas power is rate at which you do the work or rate at which you transfer the energy. So we will be studying about various concepts on work, energy and power in this module. We will study about the work energy theorem, we will be studying about power, we will be studying about kinetic energy, potential energy, the concept of a spring, so on and so forth. This unit is allocated 12 hours and you may get questions for about 10 marks from this chapter. Moving on, the sixth chapter is regarding system of particles and rotational motion. You might have observed that we were speaking about motion in a straight line initially, then along a plane, and now we are speaking about rotational motion. What are the concepts that we are going to study here? We are going to study about center of mass, motion of center of mass, angular velocity, torque, linear momentum, angular momentum, so on and so forth in this chapter. The time allocated for this chapter is around 11 hours and you may get questions for about 10 marks. The seventh chapter is on gravitation, a very important concept in physics. What are we going to study under gravitation? We are going to study about Kepler's laws, we are going to study about acceleration due to gravity, and one very important concept on escape speed. Okay, so the number of hours allocated is 10 hours and you may get questions for about 9 marks. As you can see in this slide, there are 7 chapters, intentionally kept at 7 because the first part of your textbook will consist of these 7 chapters. Okay, moving on, there are 7 more chapters. These 7 chapters will be the part 2 of your textbook, second part of your textbook. What are there? In the 8th chapter, we will be studying about mechanical properties of solids. What are the subtopics that we are going to study here? 2 very important words that we use in our daily life. Maybe you may be knowing the meaning of it or you may not be knowing the meaning of those words. This is stress, strain, Hooke's law and modulus of elasticity. Stress and strain, 2 generally used terminologies. Okay, so we will be studying about those concepts here. 4 hours are allocated for this chapter and you may get questions for about 4 marks. Chapter 9 deals with mechanical properties of fluids. Chapter 8 was on mechanical properties of fluids. Here it is on fluids. Fluids is basically a common terminology for both liquids as well as gases. The topics that we are going to cover here is Bernoulli's principle, viscosity, surface tension, so on and so forth. Okay, you have got around 5 hours to complete the syllabus of this chapter and you may get questions for about 5 marks. Moving on, chapter 10 deals with the thermal properties of matter. Up till now, we were dealing with mechanical properties of solids, liquids and gases. Now we are moving on to a new concept where we will be studying about thermal properties of matter. In this chapter, we will be studying about some very important concepts like ideal gas theory for thermal properties. Okay, we will be studying about gases, so on and so forth. About 11 hours is allocated for this chapter and you may get this for about 8 marks. Okay, next, moving on, the 11th chapter deals about thermodynamics. Thermo means heat, dynamics means movement. Okay, so essentially we will be speaking about movement of heat here. Once I say movement of heat, the concepts that I have to study here will be heat, temperature, measurement of temperature, absolute temperature, so on and so forth. These will be the important concepts. About 8 hours is prescribed for covering this syllabus and you may get questions for about 8 marks. The next 12th chapter here is regarding kinetic theory of gases. In kinetic theory of gases, we will be dealing with some important concepts. We will be studying about behavior of gases, the ideal gas theory, law of equipartition of energy, so on and so forth. The number of hours allocated for this is 5 hours, and you may get questions for about 4 marks in this chapter. Moving on, the 13th chapter is regarding oscillations. Whenever I say oscillation, the best example that I can state to you regarding oscillation is that of a pendulum. Okay, so what are the topics that I will be studying here? Two very important concepts. One is regarding simple harmonic motion, and the second one is regarding uniform circular motion, and topics related to that: velocity of simple harmonic motion, acceleration there, so on and so forth. And we will be studying about a simple pendulum. The number of hours allocated for this unit is 8 hours, and you may get questions for about 8 marks. Okay. The last chapter here is regarding waves. We will be studying about the different types of waves here: the transverse waves, longitudinal waves, principle of superposition of waves, so on and so forth. The number of hours allocated for this chapter is 10 hours. You may get questions for about 8 marks. Whatever marks and hours indicated here, they are just a guidance and may vary slightly here and there. Okay, so this was regarding the syllabus. Now let us try to understand one more very important concept, which is regarding your examination. What is the pattern in which you have to answer the question papers so that you can score marks? See, there are two parts when you come to your pre-university examination. The board has said that you'll have to answer your paper in two parts. The first part is a theory paper. The second part is a practical paper. The sum of the two papers will be for 100 marks. Your theory paper is for a maximum of 70 marks, and your practical paper is for 30 marks. While answering the theory paper, you will be given a total time of 3 hours and 15 minutes. Okay. Now let us go and check what this theory paper and practical paper are likely to be. Okay. Firstly, the theory paper. The model question paper says that our theory paper is divided into 4 parts. Part A, B, C and D. Part A is 1 mark questions. Part B is 2 mark questions. Part C is 3 mark questions. And part D is 5 mark questions. Okay. So let us first try to understand what are the instructions that are given to the students. The paper says that all parts from A to D are compulsory. You have to answer all the parts, part A, B, C and D. For part A questions, in part A, for 1 mark questions, you have 2 major parts. Okay. The first main says that you have to answer the MCQs, multiple choice questions, and part 2 says that you have to answer the fill in the blanks. So part A, he has said that there is an important instruction: whatever answer you write first will be considered for awarding the marks. If you are writing multiple answers or multiple phrases for answers, only the first choice will be considered for giving the marks. Answers without relevant diagrams and figures will not be considered for awarding any marks. If the question demands any figures or diagrams or circuits to be written, only if you have written the diagrams, then you will be considered for awarding the marks. Direct answers to numerical problems without relevant formula and detailed solution will not carry any marks. If you have directly arrived at the answer, then you will not be given any marks. So these are few of the instructions. Let us check the paper pattern one by one. Under part A, the first main says that pick the correct options, okay, among the 4 given options. So these are called as multiple choice questions. There are 15 such questions, and each of those carries 1 mark each. All the questions are compulsory. You have to pick one of the 4 answers that are given to you. Part 2, okay, or main 2 under part A is your fill in the blanks, wherein 5 questions are asked. You have to answer all the 5. And the good part here is the answers will also be given. You have to just select the correct answer and write it down. Okay, 15 marks in multiple choice questions and 5 marks in fill in the blanks. Totally 20 marks from part A. Let us have a look at part B. Part B is 2 mark questions. A total of 8 questions will be given to you, out of which you have to answer 5. So 5 2 mark questions you will be answering, so that you can get a total of 10 marks. From here onwards, part B onwards, it is not a 1 mark question, so there is not a single phrase that you need to answer. It is a descriptive type answering. You have to write down the complete answer. Okay. Moving on to part C, main 4. These are 3 mark questions. Once again, 8 questions will be asked to you, out of which you have to answer any 5. So when you answer 5 3 mark questions, you can get 15 marks. Okay, once again, descriptive type questions. You have to answer any 5 of the given 8 questions. Moving on, part D is split into 2 mains. The 5th main is where you have to answer the questions, any 3 of the 5 questions. These are descriptive type questions, wherein you may be asked a derivation to prove something. You may be asked to explain a concept with a sketch or a neatly labeled diagram, so on and so forth. In part 6, you have to answer any 2 of the 4 questions that may be asked to you. Okay, these are typically numerical questions, what we say or call as problems in our classes. These are those numerical questions. You have to answer any 2 of the 4 questions. Once again, these questions will carry 5 marks each. So totally, if you have observed, 45 questions will be given in the question paper, and the paper is set for 105 marks, out of which you have to answer for only 70 marks. The total time allocated for answering these is 3 hours and 15 minutes. 15 minutes is the initial time given to you to have a look at the question paper, analyze it, frame your strategy as to which questions you want to answer, and then the rest of the 3 hours is given to you for writing or answering these questions, so that you can get a maximum score of 70. This was regarding your question paper pattern for theory, wherein you are answering for 70 marks. We are still left with 30 marks of practical. Let us have a look at how that goes. Your practical paper is for a total of 30 marks. What is the split up here? The performance while you are conducting the experiment on the day of the lab exam, you are given 20 marks. For answering the questions, you are given 5 marks, which is also called as Viva. And for the record that you have submitted for the conduction of experiment throughout the year, you are given 5 marks. Among these 20 marks for conducting the experiment, there is once again a split up. Once again, this is an indication based on the particular type of experiment. 1 mark can vary here and there. For writing down the principle behind which you are conducting the experiment, you are awarded 2 marks. For writing down the neat labeled diagram, you are given 2 marks. For writing down the formulae along with the expressions and units, you are given 2 marks. For writing down the tabular column, the empty tabular column with observations, you are given 2 marks. These are the 4 things that you have to write down in your paper answer booklet once you are asked to conduct an experiment. Then you will move on to the experimental setup and conduct the experiment. After that, for constructing the experimental setup, you are awarded 3 marks. For entering the readings obtained inside the empty tabular column, you are given 4 marks. For writing down step-by-step solution and calculation along with the graph, you are given 3 marks. And writing down the results along with the proper units, you are given 2 marks. So, a total of 20 marks for conducting the experiment. Okay, so 70 marks for theory and 30 marks for practical. So a total of 100 marks is what you are expected to score. Okay, so whatever I told you till now, there are two important things. Understand the syllabus, understand the question paper. Follow the classes so that you can obtain the knowledge. Once you have the knowledge of the syllabus, once you have the knowledge of the subject and the question paper pattern, you can apply the obtained knowledge to get the full quota of your marks. What are the experiments? I have told you that you will have to conduct some experiments. There are 17 experiments among which you have to conduct the experiments, write down the records then and there, and basically you have to give a lab exam at the end of the year. In your lab exam, you may be asked to conduct 1 or 2 experiments among these. Vernier calipers, screw gauge, speerometer, equilibrium of concurrent forces, simple pendulum, coefficient of friction, inclined plane, spring constant. These are the first 8 set of experiments. Then you have got sonometer, velocity of sound, Newton's law of cooling, one of the important concepts, surface tension of water, beam balance, viscosity, Boyle's law, specific heat capacity, one more important concept, and then ultimately Young's modulus. So among these 17 experiments, you will be asked to conduct any 2 experiments in your lab exam. Okay. So what does a science student basically require? There are 3 important things that I always say. First thing is curiosity. You require a curious mind, intuitive mind. And then you require some analytical reasoning. And ultimately you require perseverance. Repeatedly you need to keep your curiosity going so that you can obtain very good results in whatever you do. I would just like to close out with one famous saying from the great man. Real sign of intelligence isn't knowledge, it is basically imagination. How do you drive your imagination? It is with your curiosity. Okay, so all the best students. Let us have some fun in learning and try to get maximum marks. Thank you.